You know my story, right?
Sounds good. First name is Shawn, last name Cephas. My store's called Forever Changes. The brand Forever Changes actually started before there was a storefront as a pop-up in 2019. Once lockdown happened, of course, we were popping up in a local coffee house, and once lockdown happened, obviously we couldn't do it. And once things reopened, that coffee house did not reopen, but another coffee house in town offered to let us set up there. And so we were there for a year, and then this space opened up, and we moved in here in November of 2021.
Awesome, Shawn. Well, tell me a little bit about prior to when you started the pop-up, kind of transitioning into starting your own business and everything like that. Were you a business owner prior to that, and what were you doing at that time?
Well, to go way back, I'm second generation record seller. So our family business was record stores. My dad opened his first store in '67, and that store actually he had multiple stores. They existed in the Philly area until he passed away in '97. It was my role to, I had been managing one of them for a little bit, but once he passed away, it was kind of put on me to liquidate the assets and kind of close the stores. So, if you think about 1997, physical music just wasn't in a good spot, and you moved into like the late 90s and early 2000s, and everything was Napster and LimeWire. So record selling was extremely niche, and just wasn't a space that didn't make sense over a record store. Fast forward to about 8 years ago, and my wife and I thought about the idea of what it would look like to have a record store. We were on our honeymoon. We stopped into a record store in Portland, Maine, that also sold clothing and jewelry and things like that. And it was a Wednesday morning, and it was full of people. And so that's when the idea of okay, so to exist, you need something else. And so that became the idea, and that kind of got our wheels flowing of this could actually be a thing. And we have so many friends who are artists and artisans that it was okay, so if we partner with these folks and have artwork, a local artist, music themed, things like that, and coasters, home decor, things like that. This could work. And so at the time, my wife was going to grad school, and I had the corporate job and could not just drop everything and start a business. So that was the idea. That was where the pop-up came from. It's just to get things going with the time and how we could. And what benefited there was as a pop-up, we had all the state paperwork and tax ID and all that kind of stuff, whatever, and relationships with distributors. And so that helped, because once we got the space, we weren't starting from scratch. We already had all the stuff on paper that makes you a business, all the relationships with getting new inventory were already in place. We just had to get more of it. And so we had friends that are woodworkers, so we had someone build the bins for us. And it was pretty easy. Because we started as a pop-up, transition to a storefront was pretty easy. So but before that, between my dad's store closing and now, just the corporate dump shit. So yeah.
And with what your dad was doing in there, obviously there's a passion for music and having that many stores and everything like that. So kind of talk a little bit. Let's go back to growing up and what was it like inside your house with music being both something from a passion, also being the thing that put bread on food on the table.
Yeah. No. So our family looked like my mom and dad and 5 kids. I have 4 siblings, and their first employee back in '69 was actually I think earlier, either '60 or '69, was my oldest brother. He's a teenager, and he is the encyclopedia of music. My dad may have owned the stores. My mom knows her music really well, but this guy, even now, he just turned 70 a couple weeks ago. and he'll be the one to be like, "Have you heard?" And it literally is a group I haven't heard for, and so it's and then each of everyone in my family had what they liked. So if you literally were to be in our house on like say a Saturday or something, whatever, in one room you hear like my sisters are playing like Hall and Oates or Billy Joel, whatever. One brother would be playing Funkadelic or Led Zeppelin. The other one other brother wasn't really a music fan. He got it from us. I'm playing. I was a teenager in the '80s, so playing Depeche Mode or things like that, whatever. And then my mom's right downstairs, like my next time in Garfunkel or something like whatever Santana. And so it's just like literally, and that's where my encyclopedic knowledge comes from. It's just like just being around music, and then being at the stores. Even when I was everyone worked at stores. Everyone had a job. So even like I was 9, 10 years old, I was working at the store, and just being around people selling, people interacting with music, and back then you didn't have streaming, you didn't have Google, so the joke was people would come in literally it's like, oh, I heard this song, it's like and girl, I love you, and and literally we hear people at the store that were like, I think that's just being around those people and watching just that much knowledge and that ability to hey, check this out, and put a record on, and just being able to, like Mike over there, we talk about all the time, just being able to kind of profile and see what someone walks in, what you put on, like what's is that going to walk out the door in their hands, and my oldest brother, there's a family friend who was their first paid employee, who was a mentor of mine, this guy Donnell. Like these guys could just one, just have the music going to set the tone for the room, and then just someone comes in, it's like, have you heard? Oh, check this out, whatever. Or not even that, just start playing it, and just watch the reactions, and so yeah, it gets if our first home was the apartment above my parents' record store. So when I came home from U of Penn Hospital in '71, that was where I grew up, was above a record store. So it's just like, it's just hardwired your DNA. So yeah.
As far as this location here and coming into this, how long were you in this area prior to opening up?
I've lived in Phoenixville for 16 years, and I always say to folks, if they're going to open a business or record store, it's easier to do it in an area because like I know who lives here, I know what they're looking for, and of course you have to have everything, air quotes, whatever, but Mike and I know the moment an order of Arctic Monkeys comes in, it's going to be gone for the days out. If we were in Norristown or I don't know, just Philly, whatever, that might not happen. Mm-hmm. But it's like it's easier to know your demo. You walk around, you talk to folks, and you just. So it was a no-brainer to open in Phoenixville. There's another record store here, and so someone would be like, "Wow, you really 2 record stores in the span of 2 blocks?" But we exist very differently. I have my lane, and I have my customers, and yeah.
Well, tell me one thing, if something that maybe you want customers to know that maybe they don't understand, or they maybe don't see in here, that you want them to know about your business and you as an individual.
Well, I think what you don't see in the store is part of the mission of this store is not just to sell pieces of plastic, and it's more to be to make a difference artistically in this town and musically. And so because of that, I either host, sponsor, or have my fingers in a lot of the local music. So on an official level, there's a lounge, like bar lounge on Bridge Street called the Phoenix, and we have monthly jazz nights there. I book jazz artists every 3rd Friday. There's a coffee house at the other end of Bridge, the corner of Bridge and Gay. where I provide like acoustic artists there, things like that. The less like the kind of fingers and things, whatever. That sounds weird, but down at the boardroom, there was a funk jazz jam kind of group last week, and I introduced them to the owner, and from there they figured out a date and so forth. And the person that played last night, I made that introduction last weekend, and the gig happened. Trying to think if there's I feel like I'm missing something. There's a guy playing at Bluebird, also on Bridge Street last weekend. And again, indirectly, the guy reached out asking if I knew of places to play, and I had mentioned Bluebird, and he kind of took it from there. But just that's what you don't see when you walk in, and you may not even know if you go into a place. Oh, I forgot the big one was the Colonial. So we sponsor, curate, and host a show each month that basically is a style of music or entertainment that you wouldn't usually find here. Most of those have been jazz. We had a hip hop spoken word poetry night. We had a one woman show out of New York come down. I can't remember some of the other things we've had, but it's just not a dude with a guitar. But yeah, so that's a part of what Forever Changes is as well. But again, if you just come in here, you won't know. So that could be what you mean. Yes.
That's exactly what I meant. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah, sure.
If you're an aspiring entrepreneur or one that's looking to expand, contact the FreeMind Network today, and we'll help you scale, we'll help you start. We're going to be there for you in your corner.
You know my story, right? Rise to fame, from the pain to glory, right?